How y'all doing today? I pray you're doing wonderful in Jesus. I'm coming on today because the Lord put it in my heart that the church do not need to allow what's going on in this world. Okay, all the evil we see, all the injustice we see, everything we see going on, our feelings, our emotions, that we don't need to allow these things to make us be silent. God said now is not the time to be silent. He said cry out even the more, pray even the more, fast even the more. He said now it's not the time for prophets to keep silent. He said for the prophets, if you feel like God is tugging on you to be his voice in this time, he said do not keep silent. Do not sit in a church, wherever you are, especially in a church, and see things that is not of God and join in with them to avoid getting kicked out of the church, or to avoid getting persecuted, or to avoid you know losing friends, losing your position in that church. He said do things in decent and in order. He said, but if he's called you to speak out against evil, if he's called you to speak out against unrighteousness, wickedness, greed, lust, everything that's not of him, especially in a church that's supposed to be praising and worshiping and leading people to Christ. He said, do not sit there and be silent. Because the reason why he's saying that is because when he was asking me to speak out, I was in a church, and the church had a plot, they had a scheme, and I didn't understand their scheme. So I was trying to be in decent and in order. So I asked to speak to the pastor, okay? This is the church I used to go to. I asked to speak to the pastor, but they said that they had a protocol. And the protocol is that, everybody would take turns. In other words, you go through the secretary and she'll give you an appointment. But God showed me later, I noticed I was never getting an appointment. No matter how many times I asked, no matter how many times the pastor himself told me to go through his secretary and get an appointment, no matter how many times he told her to give me an appointment, I would never get the appointment. And I kept silent because I felt like if I spoke out loud and out of turn and during service,